Hey Canucks fans, get ready for a massive edition of Ask Me Anything. I'm Clayton Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and it's my Canucks take on one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Sunday, November the 8th. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. Massive. 17 questions today. I want to honor everyone that took time to ask me a question on yesterday's vlog. And I'm going to try and do it kind of like I do my live stream. So I didn't do any pre-scouting, type out any answers. I want to try and make it as spontaneous as I can. The only time I've seen it was when I put it onto one Word doc. So hopefully these are going to be spontaneous answers. And for those of you that follow me either on Twitter, especially, or Instagram or Facebook, yes, I am okay. I posted footage of me trying to re-enter my house after hanging up some Christmas lights. Don't worry, we haven't turned them on yet. But putting up our Christmas lights, took advantage of the nice day. And also, let's just say that the combination of me getting older, less agile, and a different configuration in my daughter Kayla's bedroom led to a very, very comical and painful re-entry into our house. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you check it out on Twitter at Canuck Clay or on Instagram at Clayton Emo, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But thanks to everyone who reached out. I am indeed fine, and I should be okay, even though we're not bowling tonight because of the COVID restrictions. So I'm actually at home tonight, but I'm still going to keep my live stream set for tomorrow night, which is Monday night, especially after I spend probably about 15 minutes answering these upcoming questions. So once again, thanks to everyone who sent a question in. I'm going to go by relatively quickly today to make sure that I get to all of them. The first one is from Nick Strelek, says, do you think Travis Green will get an extension before next season? My gut feeling is yeah. I talked about this last week. You don't want any coach feeling like he's a lame duck coach, i.e. going into the final season of his contract without at least a plan for a new contract. He's obviously done very well for the Canucks. He's led them to some really, really good seasons already, especially last season. I believe that only it's because of COVID and not a lot of money floating around available that it's kind of hampered the negotiations. But I fully expect him to be signed before the season starts. But even if he doesn't, I don't think we should read too much into it. I don't think it's a matter of the Canucks not wanting him or trying to be jerks to him. I just think it's a mature realization of the financial situation, the world that we're living in right now. But if I had to pick, I still think, even though it hasn't been done yet, that he will have his extension done before the season begins. Steve says this, Steve Maihara says, hey Clay, is there anything the Canucks can do to shed salary cap, or is it too late? I felt Benning had us fooled before the trade deadline that some of our bottom six was going to be dealt, but obviously nothing happened. I agree with you that the bottom six did okay, but Sutter looked injured later in the series. That was a comment on yesterday's vlog. When I asked for questions, I did talk about the bottom six and my hopes that they actually perform well next season. But to answer your question, Steve, is there anything the Canucks can do to shed salary, or is it too late? They still can shed salary. One easy way is to trade a guy or for peanuts, but they're not going to do that because there aren't a lot of takers for a guy like Eriksson or Sutter or Beagle right now, if that's who you're looking at. You can shed salary when the season starts by putting Louis Eriksson or Sven Baertschi in the minors. You save about $1 million each, but then in salary cap, but you still have to pay them. They're big money, so is that the best use of money? So yeah, there are ways that the Canucks can shed salary still, mostly by trading. I'm bringing in a lower salary guy, or when the season starts by putting guys in the minors. Another easy way, but I've talked about this before, is if Michael Furlan goes on long-term injury reserve, that's $3.5 million that comes off the salary cap. Ocean says this, with Tanev gone, who do you think will fill a spot as alternate captain? I have a feeling it'll be Myers because he's worn the A with guys out injured, but I want to see Miller get it. Ocean, I think those are the two guys that you're looking at. You're either looking at a Myers or a Miller. Yes, they've each been with the team only for a year, but you can see their leadership. You made a good point. Myers has filled in already when there's injuries to an Edler or a Tanev, and then Miller has shown leadership both on and off the ice as well. So I think Myers or Miller would be good. I think Petey is an outside shot, but I think he's a couple years away. But I think he's captain material as well, or at least associate captain, I should say. But yeah, I agree with yours that it would be Myers or Miller. Even without seeing your comment, I would have said Miller would be my pick. I Lie says this. I hope you don't lie. I hope you tell the truth. Outside the top 5 forwards of Miller, Pete, Brock, Bowen, Pearson, and the top 4D of Hughes, Schmidt, Edler, Myers, and goalies, which depth roster player do you think has the potential to make the biggest impact out of Gaudette, Roussel, Jake, McEwen, Juolevi, Rafferty, Rathbone, Mott, Harlech, Sutter, Beagle, and Ben. Okay, thank you, Isla. You did a good job of listing all the Canucks players. Outside of the top 5 forwards and the top 4D, when I look at that list, I actually think Jake Virtanen has the biggest... he's going to have a wonderful opportunity if the Canucks indeed don't start Louis Eriksson with Horvat and Pearson, and then they put Besser, obviously, with Miller and Patterson. Jake Virtanen may have an extended look on the top line playing with Petey and Miller, and what an opportunity that would be. So I think he has the potential to make the biggest impact for sure. And I also think Tyler Mott, I've been saying this, you just try him on the third line. He's been playing on the fourth line all the time. Why not try him on the third line and see what he can do? He's got some offensive ability. We've seen that in college. We saw that in the postseason. So I'd go with Virtanen and Mott as my 2 guys who might have the biggest impact outside of our core guys. Sammy Baines, Sammy says this: does Horvat have a chance to represent Canada at the 2022 Olympics? Absolutely yes. I've seen some roster projections already. I've seen some World Cup projections if there is Canada versus the US. And in both of those, I've seen Horvat as a bubble, like a fourth line player, whether it's center or on the wing. Canada always has an abundance of centers, but Horvat would be like a 12th or 13th forward. So yeah, I do think he has a chance. I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk, nor would I say it's a complete long shot. I think he does have a chance. And I've told the story before, back in 2016 when my son Sean caddied for Bo. I asked Bo if he wanted to make the 2018 Olympics. At that time, we thought NHL players would still play in the Olympics, and he said yes, of course. Of course, 2018 there are no NHL players. It will go back for that, hopefully for 2022. And I think he's got a shot at being a fourth liner for sure on that team. I think that'd be awesome. Ron Nee says this: hi Clay, good to see you. Thank you. AMA vlog. Do you see us having difficulty signing Hughes and Pettersson next season? How much would we save buying out Eriksson's contract next season? To buy out Eriksson's contract, it would only make sense to do that when there's 1 year left, because basically you have to pay 2/3 of the salary over twice the remaining length of the contract. So if we buy him out now, then we're going to feel the effects of it for 4 years. If you buy someone out in their final year of their contract, then you only feel that effect for 2 years. That's why, Brandon Sutter, use him an example, it would be $4 million, 2/3 of that is 2.6. So then it's spread over 2 years. So we'd be charged 1.3 for the next 2 years. For Eriksson, if we do it this year, it's 2/3 of his salary. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember if it's salary cap hit or if it's actual salary, but I do know it will be spread over 4 years. So we want to wait until next year to do it. And if that's the case, if it's salary cap hit $6 million, it would be $4 million spread over 2 years. So we'd save $2 million a piece. I don't think that sounds right. I think it's actual cash that you base the formula on. So if that's the case, if he's paid out a lot of bonuses and stuff, then maybe with Eriksson, we're only saving, let's say he only making $2 million in actual cash in the last season, then you'll be saving $1 million for each of the next 2 seasons after that, or being applied to your salary. I'd much rather just put him in the minors, right, for that last season. And then you get the $1 million cap hit, and then he's off your books at the end of the year. So basically, you take 2/3 of cash owed, and then you times it by 2 years, by 2 times the remaining length of the contract. That's why you should only buy someone out when they have 1 season left in a perfect world. So I hope that makes sense, Ron. And no, I don't see us any difficulty signing Hughes and Pettersson. A lot of money is coming off the books, including their contracts, so about $24 million. And not all of it's going to go to them, but it's going to be a priority. I don't see any difficulties at all. And the Canucks fans would be livid if there were any problems. Brad says, do you think Mott gets a shot on the first line? No, I don't. I've been advocating that he gets a shot on the third line, but I don't think he's first line potential material. I think that's going to be either Besser or Jake, of course. But I'd like to see Mott on the third line as opposed to the fourth line, but I don't think he shoots up to the first line. Jamie Hunt says, how about Gauthier as a top 6 winger? I've thought about him to play with Horvat and Pearson. Does he have the defensive ability to play on that line? I'm not so sure yet. And I think that Travis Green really likes Gauthier in the middle. And we know that because he actually played Gauthier in the middle, kept him in the middle, and instead moved Sutter on the wing as opposed to keeping Sutter in the middle and moving Gauthier to the wing. So I do think that Gauthier will stay in his spot as a third line center. That guy Jeff says, do you think Juolevi will finally get an opportunity to play on the roster? I do. And I've talked about this a lot. You have your top 4 of Edler, Hughes, Schmidt, Myers, and then let's say Jordy Ben gets a 5th spot and he can play left or right side. So I think there's a spot there for one of Juolevi, Rathbone, Rafferty, and Chatfield. And I actually think of all those guys, Juolevi, as much as I like Rathbone's game, I think Juolevi has the best shot on making the team. You play Juolevi on the bottom pairing on the left, you put Jordy Ben on the right, and you have a guy like Rafferty as your 7th defenseman. So yes, I think he will get an opportunity to play on the roster. And he played well in his one game against Minnesota in the postseason. Rome Ticklin. Rome says this: are there any rule changes you'd like to see NHL implement for this upcoming season? Yeah, the offside rule. That's the one that drives me nuts. It's when a guy, if a skate's not touching the ice, then they call it offside. I think as long as he, on the ice, off the ice, as long as he's not in the zone prior. I know it's a quick split decision. I would like to see that called back. I mean, I would like to see that change, because rarely does it change the outcome, and it slows games down, those kind of challenges. So that's the one I'd like to see change, is that they're not so strict on that, and then your skate does not have to be on the ice to be onside. I don't think it's dangerous either. I'm not worried about guys like skating around, flailing their skate around. Luis Nicholas says this: what do you think are the individual ceilings of Hughes, PD, Demko, Horvat, and Besser? I'm not sure if you're talking career or the season. If we're talking about season, individual ceilings, and I presume you're talking about point totals, I think Hughes can get 60 points. I think PD could get 80 or 85 points. I think Demko could win 30 games, maybe with a 9-10 save percentage. I think Horvat could get 60 points, and I think Besser could get 70 points. So let's go PD 80 or 90, Besser 70, Horvat 60, Hughes 60, Demko 30 wins. That's a ceiling. Demko's probably going to be closer to 20 wins, especially if he splits time with Holtby, and if it's not even a full season, then of course he's not going to get 30 wins in a 48-game season. Maybe you divide it in half and he gets 15 to 20 wins. Drum says, what are the teams Vancouver need to look out for this offseason? Which team do you think will be able to outwork the Canucks? Drum, I think you're asking, who are the team Vancouver going to have trouble with? I think any team that skates well and puts a lot of offensive pressure. We saw that with Vegas, especially Vegas can skate well, and they put a lot of offensive pressure on us, and we saw how much trouble we had. So I think Vegas always poses a challenge for us. I think any team with a lot of team speed. So Colorado, they're fun games, but I think they could pose a challenge for us. Maybe Tampa, and I'm obviously talking about some elite teams here. But I think those are the teams that for whatever reason, Winnipeg gives us a lot of trouble too. They're a bigger team, skilled, and they have an awesome goalie. Patrick, who will be the next Canucks player to score 100 points during the regular season? Great question. It hasn't happened in a while. I think PD, if a lot of things go well, he has the ability to do so. Power play, regular strength, playing with good players. But I think it'd have to be him. Him above all else. Taryn Dosage says this: what are your predictions for Jake Virtanen this season? If he gets some first line time and some decent power play time, whether it's the first or probably the second unit, I think he can get 25 goals, but that's in a full 82 game season. Now you have to extrapolate that. If it's a 50, 60 game season, 20 goals in a 50 or 60 game season, 20 goals in a 60 game season would be awesome. That's like a 25 goal pace for regular season, full season. So, let's say that Jake scores a goal in every 3 games. I think that would be a good goal for him, or maybe a goal in every 4 games. So 20 to 22 extrapolated, maybe he gets 20 goals in a shortened season. I think that'd be great. And I just want him to be consistent. Liam Haynes says this: how would you compare the Canucks after their offseason to other teams in Canada after their off seasons? Where do you think they rank compared to all the other Canadian teams? Great question, Liam. I've talked about this a couple times before in my vlogs. My homer side, my bias side wants to say first, but I do think that Toronto is still a really good team, as much as I don't like them. I think Calgary, Montreal will be tricky as well. I think the Canucks are better than Edmonton. Winnipeg, you never know. So I'd say, if I had to pick now, I'd say Toronto is number 1. I'd say Calgary might be number 2, and then we'd be number 3, fighting with Montreal, Edmonton, and Winnipeg. So let's go with third right now. Joel says this: who might Seattle take from the Canucks? Great question. That's the expansion draft at the end of next season. Presuming the Canucks protect 7-3-1, 7 forwards, 3D, 1 goalie. The goalie's obviously Demko, so Holtby's on the market. Will be exposed. On the blue line, I think they'll protect Schmidt, Myers, and Juolevi. Hughes will be exempt, thank goodness. So that means guys like Edler and Ben will be exposed. And then up front, it's your big 5 of Pettersson, Horvat, Besser, Miller, big 4. And then I think Virtanen and Gaudette get protected. And likely Tyler Mott, in my eyes. Maybe not. He's going to only have 1 year left on his contract, but he's a valuable player. That means a lot of guys exposed, like McEwen, Roussel, Sutter, Beagle, Eriksson, Furlan, and then a bunch of the UFAs at the end of next season. Brandon Sutter's going to be one. Tanner Pearson's going to be one. Sven Berchi, Cole Lynn, not sure where he'll be. So out of all those players, if they want a solid, if Seattle wants a solid goaltender to start them off, then I think we might lose Holtby. Otherwise, I think we might lose a guy like Pearson or even Zach McEwen. Like Pearson's not young, McEwen is young. I don't know if you want to protect him though. So yeah, maybe one of those three guys: Holtby, Pearson, or Zach McEwen. And lastly, Maestro says, what would have happened if the Canucks lost the series against the Blackhawks in 2011? I think Vigneault would have been fired. I'm not sure if Gillis would have been done as well, but I definitely think Alain Vigneault would have been fired, and they would have shaken up the roster for sure, because that would have been a President's Trophy team losing in the first round to in a series where they were up basically 3-0. So which is pretty darn scary that Chicago came back. Was it 3-0? And Chicago won games 4, 5, and 6. That's crazy if that's the case. Maybe not. I know Chicago won game 5 and 6. Maybe they didn't win 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, regardless, I think Vigneault would have been gone. I think the roster would have been shaken up quite a bit. And then I think they would have done that by trading one of Luongo or Schneider right then and there, right after that season, and then trade them at their peak, right, and try and get a lot of quality for them. Okay, there was about 16 or 17 questions. Went 16 minutes. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope, leave a comment to reaction to any of my answers to any of your questions. I appreciate you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to send those questions in. So leave a comment below. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. I'll check in tomorrow with a daily vlog, and then join me tomorrow night, Monday night, 10 p.m. for my weekly YouTube live stream. Back on YouTube, not on Zoom. That was just a one-off. I'll do it first Sunday of the month, but we're back on YouTube tomorrow night for my live stream. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great night. God bless, and go Canucks go.